Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari One Guruvind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Potentai Mata Shishi ki jai, Gaur Premanand ki jai. Reading from Shri Prabhupada Lila Amrita. Introduction. Abhai's mother Rajni was 30 years old when he was born. Like her husband, she came from a long-established Gaudiya Vaishnava family. She was darker skinned than her husband, and whereas his disposition was cool, hers tended to be fiery. Abhay saw his mother and father living together peacefully, no deep marital conflict or complicated dissatisfaction over ever threatened home. Rajni was chaste and religious-minded, a model housewife in the traditional Vedic sense, dedicated to caring for her husband and children. Abhay observed his mother's simple and touching attempts to ensure by prayers and vows that he continued to live. Like Gaur Mohan, Rajni treated Abhay as the pet child. But whereas her husband expressed his love through leniency and plans for his son's spiritual success, she expressed hers through attempts to safeguard Abai from all danger, disease, and death. At Abai's birth, she vowed to eat with her left hand until the day her son would notice and ask her why she was eating with her wrong hand. When one day little Abai asked, she immediately stopped. It had been just another prescription for his survival, since she thought that by the strength of her vow he would continue to grow at least until he asked about the vow. His mother would often take him to the Ganges and personally bathe him. When he got dysentery, she cured it with hot puris and fried eggplant with salt. Sometimes when he was ill, Abai would show his obstinacy by refusing to take any medicine, but just as he was stubborn, his mother was determined, and she would forcibly administer medicine into his mouth. When Abai had been unwilling to attend school, his father had remained lenient, while Rajni insisted and even hired a man to escort him to the school. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today is the appearance day of Lord Varahadev. So we're going to read from Canto 3, Chapter 13, Text 27. Utshita Valaka Chara Katoraha. Ukshipta Valaha Kachara Katoraha. Shata Vidunvan Kararoma Shatvak. Shata Vidunvan Kararoma Shatvak. Kuruhatabra Sitadamstra Iksha. Kuruhatabra Sitadamstra Iksha. Jyoti Bhavase Bhagavan Mahitraha. Jyoti Bhavase Bhagavan Mahitraha. Utshipta Valaka Chara Katoraha. Shata Vidunvan Kararoma Shatva. Kuru Hatabra Sitadamshta Iksha. Jyoti Babase Bhagavan Mahitraha. Utshikta Valaka Chara Katoraha. Sata Vidunvan Kararoma Shatva. Guru Hatabra Sitadamstra Iksha. Jyoti Babase Bhagavan Mahitraha. Vikshitavalaka Chara Katoraha. Shatavidanvan Kararoma Shatva. Shatavidanvan Shatatamstra Iksha. Varunavasi Bhagavan Mahitraha. Shatavidanvan Kararoma Shatva. Kurahata Prasitadamstra Iksha. Jyoti Bhavase Bhagavan Mahitraha. Ladies. Chitta Paharicha Kathuraha Chitta Vidhamma Paravamashatha Gurahata Prasita Damstra Iksha Jyote Babase Bhagavan Vita Utshipta Valaha slashing with the tail. Kachara in the sky. Katoraha very hard. Sataha hairs on the shoulder. Vidunvan quivering. Kara sharp. Romasatwak skin full of hairs. Kurahata struck by the hoofs. Abraha the clouds. Sita Damstraha white tusks. Iksha glance. Jyoti luminous. Babase began to emit an effulgence. Bhagavan the personality of Godhead. Malidraha the support of the world. Translation. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing its tail, his hard ears quivering, his ready glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. Please repeat. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard ears quivering, his very glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When the Lord is offered prayers by his devotees, his transcendental activities are described. Here are some of the transcendental features of Lord Boar. As the residents of the upper three planetary systems offered their prayers to the Lord, it is understood that his body expanded throughout the sky, beginning from the topmost planet Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita that his eyes are the sun and the moon, therefore his very glance over the sky was as illuminating as the sun or the moon. The Lord is described herein as Mahidraha, which means either a big mountain or the sustainer of the earth. In other words, the Lord's body was as big and hard as the Himalayan mountains. Otherwise, how was it possible that he kept the entire earth on the support of his white tusks? The poet Jayadev, a great devotee of the Lord, has sung of this incident in his prayers for the incarnations. Vasati dashana shikare dharani tavalagna, shashini kalanka maliva namagna, Keshava-drita shukara rupa jaya jagadisha hare. All glories to Lord Keshava, Krishna, who appeared as the boar. The earth was held between his tusks, which appeared like the scars on the moon. Oh my God, Shijitani manubhastam stapitam yena bhutali swayam rupa padamayam dadati swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before entering the water to rescue the earth, Lord Boar flew in the sky, slashing his tail, his hard ears quivering. His ready glance was luminous, and he scattered the clouds in the sky with his hooves and his glittering white tusks. So the whole story of Lord Varaha is very wonderful in Srimad Bhagavatam. Third canto is a beautiful description of how Lord Varaha appeared and how he killed Hiranyaksha, the demon Hiranyaksha. So first of all, we may think this is a very strange incarnation because, a boar is not considered a very beautiful animal and it's not considered very clean, and it tends to kind of reside in dirty places. So materially speaking, a boar is not considered a very clean animal. And the Lord to take the form of a boar, well, why would he want to take the form of a boar is another question. And the reason is because the earth had fallen into the Garbadak Ocean. So after like Lord Brahma has his day and night, and during his night he goes to sleep, and there's a partial dissolution of the universe. So all the planets up to the three higher planets, the Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka, they all get submerged in water apart from these three planetary systems. So when Lord Brahma awoke in his next day, then he seen that the earth had actually fallen into the Garbadak Ocean. So Swayambhuv Manu asked Lord Brahma, please help, we need to get the earth out of the Garbadak Ocean. So Lord Brahma was contemplating how to do this, and while he was thinking what to do, the Lord appeared from his nostril. I mean, the Lord can appear in any way he wants, and it's a very unusual way for the Lord to appear, but the Lord is all-powerful, and anything, he can do anything. So as the Lord Brahma was contemplating this, Lord Varahadev appeared from the nostril of Lord Brahma. And nobody could understand. All the sages from all the three planetary systems are watching this, and they couldn't understand what was going on. And then the Lord Boar actually became bigger and bigger and expanded so big, and everybody was wondering, what is this form? And nobody could understand who it was until the Lord roared. And by his roaring, they could understand this was the Supreme Lord. And he was so beautiful, although generally a hog is not beautiful, but Lord Boar was so beautiful. And because of his roar, it was going in all directions throughout the universe, and they could understand this was the Supreme Lord. So the Lord appeared for different reasons, and one of them was to rescue the earth from the Garbadak Ocean. And the other reason was he was going to kill Hiranyaksha, a great demon. And so there's so many stories behind this demon, which will probably take another class to explain, so I won't go into all the details. But Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were twin brothers, and they were very great demons. And Hiranyaksha was basically, Hiranya means gold and Aksha means eyes, so he was always searching for gold. This was his brother was like into the same kind of thing. So one time Hiranyaksha, because he was so powerful, they had so many benedictions, so much power, that actually the demigods were so afraid of them that it's described that even if you looked at the demigods, they would flee in fear, raise his eyebrows at the demigods. So the demigods were in total fear of these two demons. So Hiranyaksha was looking for somebody to fight because he was so arrogant, he was so strong that he could defeat anybody and everybody. So he went to Varahadev, who's the demigod of the waters, and he challenged him for a fight. And Varahadev could understand that, Hiranyaksha was really puffed up. So he says, I'm too old to fight now, but somebody else who's actually, you could fight is the Supreme Lord. He's just appeared, to rescue the earth, so maybe you can have a fight with him. So he directed him to the Supreme Lord. So Lord Varaha at that time had just rescued the earth, and he'd balanced the earth on his tusks, so he was coming out the waters. And then Hiranyaksha was calling out to him, why are you fleeing from me? I'll challenge you to a fight. So Lord Varaha was very pained at this these horrible remarks by Hiranyaksha. But because he had the Mother Earth on his tusks, he wanted to put her safely on the waters before he fought with Hiranyaksha. So he put the Mother Earth, the Earth planet, on the waters, and then he decided, he was ready to challenge Hiranyaksha for a fight as well. So there's a beautiful description how the fight took place, and all the demigods are watching this fight. So we can see that, we can't understand how great the Lord is, that he can do all these wonderful activities. But we can see that here, we can understand that, it's not an ordinary hog or an ordinary boar. He's actually expanded himself so big. He's ready to fight with this demon. And Srila Prabhupada reminds us that, the Lord can assume any incarnation, just like he assumed the form of Matsya, Kurma, tortoise, fish incarnation, tortoise incarnation. Now he's taking the form of a boar. So he's actually transcendental. It's not that he's become a boar, but he's actually just assumed this form for the pleasure of his devotees, because Krishna appears for two reasons. One is to give pleasure to his devotees, and the other is to annihilate the miscreants and annihilate the demons. So in this pastime, he's come to raise the earth, to please the Mother Earth, and also to kill this demon Hiranyaksha. So as the fight goes on, there's a lot of drama, and finally, after a lot of battling, the Lord slaps Hiranyaksha on the ear, and he kills him. So this is the power of the Lord. He doesn't need to have weapons. He doesn't really need, to exert so much power, but he wanted a fight. So this was a whole arrangement of the Lord to actually have a good fight. And if you understand the history of Hiranyaksha, actually he was a devotee from Vaikuntha who fell down as part of the Lord's plan, so he could actually have a fight, because you can't really fight unless, there's not really a good fight unless there's an enemy. And so the Lord actually arranged that one of his devotees becomes an enemy to fight, a demon to fight with him. So this is by the time after this killing of Hiranyaksha, all the demigods were very pleased, very happy that this great demon had been killed. And the demigods were a bit more at peace. And it's described that Lord Varahadev, once he had finished killing Hiranyaksha, there's a place in Vrindavan called Vishramghat, and it's described that Lord Varahadev rested there after he'd killed Hiranyaksha, and he spoke the Adi Varaha Purana to Mother Earth. It's describing the glories of Mathura. So this holy place, Vishramghat, is actually in Vrindavan as part of the parikrama. You go there, you actually start the parikrama usually from Vishramghat, and you see this beautiful place. So we can see that it's described that at the end of this description of the pastime, it's described that if one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude the suspicious narration of Lord Boar, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is very pleased. So that's actually the result of hearing this pastime or reciting it or sharing it with anybody in a devotional way. The Lord is very, very pleased by this. And also, Sutta Goswami says that anyone who hears this or recites this is relieved of all sinful activities, and even the killing of a brahmana. So this is how powerful this description is. So this is the goal of our devotional service, that we want to please the Lord, and by reciting and hearing his transcendental pastimes and by sharing it, we please the Lord. And also, since it's Lord Varahadev's appearance day, we should pray to Lord Varahadev to actually help us, just like he helped to rescue Mother Earth from this filthy place. Then, our heart, it's got so many different demons like Hiranyaksha, so we can pray to Lord Varaha, please rescue our bhakti from all these different demoniac influences. So it's like we can pray that the Lord actually does help us in our efforts. And so all these different demoniac influences like lust, anger, greed, envy in our heart, they're actually impediments to our bhakti. So in the form of Lord Varahadev, we're hoping that he can help uplift our bhakti from this mire of, contamination in our consciousness. So this is the real prayer that we have to pray today. It's Lord Varahadev. And we can see that Lord Varahadev is very, very merciful, he's very kind. He's always ready to help, like he did, helped raise Mother Earth from the Garbhodak ocean and killing the Hiranyaksha demon. Actually, in the Bhagavatam, there's two descriptions of Lord Varahadev, but it seems like one story. There's two incarnations of Lord Varaha, and they appear in different millenniums, different manvantaras. So the whitish Varaha appears in Swayambhuv Manu's time, the other manvantara is the Chakshus. So the red incarnation appears in the Chakshus manvantara. So the two are kind of combined in this one story, but the whitish form actually appears just to raise Mother Earth from the ocean. Swayambhuv Manu prayed to Lord Brahma to please help, and that's when the Lord appeared. But the red incarnation kills Hiranyaksha. He appears from the water, that incarnation, and he kills Hiranyaksha. That was the purpose of his appearance. So, but in the Bhagavatam, it's basically both incarnations are kind of nicely put together. So it seems like one story, but there's two different avatars of Lord Varaha. And both incarnations are doing the same thing, they're raising Mother Earth from the water. And is there any questions or comments?
I just wondered how many actually both seeing how problems. Just hearing somebody else was badly affected by problem. So gold seems to be, and also Kali was told the only place you can hang out is in where there's gold, because if there's gold, automatically there'll be intoxication, sex, and gambling. So is that a? I mean, how do we take that as a warning to us that if we get any occurrence, we should easily give it away and use the Krishna's sense?
Yeah, gold is. It's like Kali resides in gold, so wherever there's gold, there'll be, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, and meat eating. And so the only way we can be saved from being influenced by Kali is to use that gold or that wealth in Krishna's service, because ultimately Lakshmi belongs to Narayan, so we use the opulence of the fortune in Krishna's service, and that way it's in the rightful position and there's no bad effect. But if we don't use it in Krishna's service, then it will affect us, it will affect our consciousness. And we see the demons are very much into gold, very much into wealth and opulence. And that's what they're searching for. They're not searching for it to use it in Krishna's service. They're wanting to exploit it and use it for their own sense gratification. So in that way, that's why they get entangled and they suffer. But it's a good point. That's why both of them, both the demons and Hiranya.
His name is translated as gold and soft bed. And I wonder if you know Hiranyaksha's name is translated as.
I mentioned that Hiranya's gold actions, his eyes are always searching for gold.
And I think, actually, I read yesterday that I wonder if you've heard this, that the reason the Earth sunk into the ocean is because Hiranyaksha had taken all the gold reserves from the Earth, so it not ever was orbit.
Yeah, let's see that. So, thank you for mentioning that. So,
That's all I needed.
There's two reasons. Well, the first incarnation, just the earth was in a deluge, it had fallen into the Garbhodak ocean. But the second one is because of Hiranyaksha, he was taking all the gold out of the earth, and because of that, the earth fell out of its orbit and fell into the Gravitic Ocean. So that's why this is what the demons do. They're just exploiting the earth for their own pleasure and own resources, and they're causing so much problems. All this drilling into the earth and, you know, taking all the reserves out of the earth is actually causing the earth problems, and it can fall out of its orbit. You know, this is what happened in the past.
Follow up from that question, if that's okay. So we understand that when Krishna came, there was so much opulence came to the planet. There was considered to be a jewel of the roots of trees and so much opulence of natural resources. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, is that when sacrifices are performed, then that also attracts natural rich resources. But it seems like the demons don't want to perform the sacrifices, but they want to take the resources of the earth. And therefore, that must be repeated time and time again.
Yeah. But nowadays we've got small demons, but if you can imagine Varahadev and Hieronychus, who were very big demons, and the Lord had to actually personally come for that, you know. And they were basically they were, you know, terrorizing the demigods, not paying taxes to them, you're not sacrificing anything to the demigods, you know, they were basically terrorizing the demigods. So, you know, the extent that they went to is far greater than what the demons are doing nowadays on planet Earth, you know. So at least, you know, the demons on the planet nowadays are not, you know, terrorizing the demigods. Demigods are still creating all the havoc, you know, the weather and everything. So, but yeah, so we can imagine how powerful these demons were, that they could do that they could actually, you know, use up the resources of the earth to the point where the planet went out of orbit. That's quite an extreme, you know.
But it means obviously that by performing miracles, then the earth's resources. It's interesting because modern technology leads us to believe that before this technology was there, nobody was doing mining, etc. But we hear from Mani's travels that when he was traveling, he was in the first canto, he was traveling from place to place, and he witnessed various different mines, like copper mines and various mines. So this was being going on for many thousands of years before so-called history was recorded. So it must have been going on there. It's not like he ran the fishing. Jagannatha himself would have been digging, right?
Yeah, it's just got other means of getting it. Yeah.
And hungry at the earth, and because there was no, she wasn't yielding sufficient grains and minerals and jewels and gold, and then it turns out that she was withholding these things. It was in her control to produce them or not produce them. So you can see how it's a reciprocal relationship. If Mother Earth is pleased, she yields. If she's not, she withdraws. You know, things go back into the earth. So it's an interesting kind of relationship that people are missing out on. That the earth is a person, you know, she's either reciprocating or she's displeased. You know.
Yes, it's because of the impersonalism that the world doesn't see that the earth is a mother, and doesn't respect it as a goddess. So because of this impersonal tendency, then it's just an object to be exploited. So, but if they see that the rivers are goddesses, the earth is a goddess, and, you know, there is a protector, she has got the Lord as a protector, then they wouldn't try to exploit, but they're exploiting.
You were saying yesterday, I was thinking about when I was testing the earth,
You explain something about what actually happened when they did that.
When it's described that when Lord Varahadev, when Lord the earth with his tusk, then by that touch, then it impregnated the earth, and Bomasura was born from that. But because of bad association, he became a demon. So we can see how association is so important, that even the Lord's son became a demon because of bad association. So it's described that's actually what happened. It's, in little past and little details, the Lord's activities. I mean, when the Lord does one thing, so many things happen. You know, it's not just like one thing. So many other things take place as well. And so we can see that the demons, when they come, their main thing is to deny the existence of God, or to actually challenge the existence of God, trying to enjoy the resources that God has given for their own sense enjoyment. It's like, you know, the Lord is giving it and they're denying his existence and trying to enjoy that. This is the demonic tendencies. And whereas demigods, like Lord Brahma, there's all these different demigods, they've also got plenty of opulence. The heavenly planets got lots of higher planets, have got so much opulence, but they're using it in God's service. They're actually accepting that there is Supreme Lord is there, and they're serving in part of his management of the universe. So they're actually serving his mission. And so that's the difference between the asuras and the suras. The asuras are demoniac and the suras are demigods. They accept that Lord is there and he's protecting the universe. That's why they take shelter of him, like Lord Brahma. All the demigods, when they get afraid of the demons, they go to Lord Brahma for protection. And Lord Brahma prays to Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna to come, please rescue them. So we can see that although the demonic try, they can never succeed. Eventually they will be destroyed by the Lord. Even at the end of Kali Yuga, the whole world will be full of demoniac persons. But at the end, Lord Kalki will come and destroy them all. And then Satya Yuga will start again. So no matter how much they try, they'll never succeed, because the Lord will always come and protect his devotees and destroy the demons. This is his religious principle that he follows. He says that in the Gita, that I appeared in every millennium, you know, to destroy the demons and to protect the devotees. So we should always have faith that no matter how bad things get, the Lord will always come and help in some form or another. So
The reserves of gold are just stored now. All the different countries keep the gold and they store it. But it's not, you know, it's not distributed amongst all the people. They're not walking around with all gold necklaces and things on. So the people that are in power and control, the ones that are most heavily affected, you would see, according to that, like Kali, because they've stored all the gold and all the rest, and it's not being used. It's just sitting there. It's just such
yeah, and also if it doesn't get used properly, there'll be malnutrition, and there's a lot of misery, a lot of problems. So the gold, but it's going to have a bad influence on them, and it's not very good. In the Bhagavatam it describes this. Well, it's like any wealth, gold or whether it's money, we use it in Krishna's service to help with the preaching, help with establishing Krishna consciousness, help help publish books. Prabhupada really wanted that. And his spiritual master told him, if you ever get money, print books. So he could have told them, you know, if you ever get money, do so many other things, but he specifically said print books, and Prabhupada really wanted that. To distribute Srila Prabhupada's books and establish centers of Krishna consciousness, farm communities. You know, they're building this temple of the Vedic planetarium in Mayapur. That needs a lot of funds to establish a big temple. So if anyone has gold, they can give it to the Mayapur temple or here. We need money to help, you know.
Balaji,
Yes.
that people come in offering so much gold. It's considered to be one of the most wealthiest temples in the world, because people come in offering gold.
Yeah, and he's got an outfit, which is just diamonds, just made up of diamonds. So you can imagine, you know, how, but everything belongs to the Lord, so it's not like anything, you know, it's not something big for the Lord because everything belongs to him anyway. But it's just like, if we have any opulence, we should offer it to the Lord because it's his anyway.
And you don't lose when I get it.
No. By beautifying the deity, we become beautiful by offering everything to the Lord. We actually benefit, we get the benefit from it. Mhm.
There's a nice address. Question, how did he arrive in the Rolls Royce? He was had a Rolls Royce to pick him up from the airport round to the temple. So the reporters were being a bit critical. They said, why you come to Rolls Royce? He says, why not a golden Rolls Royce? He says, what is this Rolls Royce? It's some glass and tin and some rubber. What is this Rolls Royce? It's like an awesome symbol of first prestige. Why not gold? He says, he's representing the supreme personality of Godhead. So I was showing, because he personally didn't hang on to anything. He personally didn't try to enjoy wealth. And so much came and he just gave it wealth. But showing the example that everything should be used in the Lord's service. And it should be given to the Lord and the Lord's devotees.
And also the question who was asking, the gold was used for paraphernalia, wasn't it? For sacrifice, and then it was distributed to the people that gathered for the yoga, you know. And then the gold would be used for decorating the deities, and building beautiful temples, you know. That's what it was originally used.
His age in Dwapar Yuga, there was so much gold. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj for his Yajasuya Yajna, you know, he bought like everything was made of gold, all the paraphernalia, the plates, the rating of gold plates. It wasn't like plastic, like nowadays in Kali Yuga, and it's a plastic age, you know, and that's considered really opulent plastic, you know, it's just so like low class. And those ages, people were eating of gold plates and gold cups, you know, and they had so much gold that once they'd used those plates, they would just discard them. It wasn't like they used them again and again. It was like one time you use a gold plate and you put it, it was a whole mountain of gold paraphernalia, you know, when they went to get the gold from this mountain of gold. It was like,
After the August, we usually distribute gold to the general public.
yeah.
Gold is used in medicine. So these are the proper uses. It's healthy for the body to wear gold and to have gold.
When Lord Chaitanya completely trashed the house, Versace broke everything. She said, well, I can't really have anything to eat now. Well, I think she had the last bit. She said, this will be your last meal because everyone's been. And then Lord Chaitanya, he did this quite often. He would just turn up with a piece of gold and say, oh, I just found this. And then there's people going.
Yeah, actually, it's talking about Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya also appeared in the boar form. He showed his boar form to Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta was in his house, and Lord Chaitanya ran into his house, and there was a jug on the table, and the Lord lifted the jug onto his nose and showed his Varaha form to Murari Gupta. So that was really nice. And there's another pastime where Lord Krishna shows that Varaha form. Do you know? There's a pastime where Lord Krishna shows that Varaha form to the gopis and gopas. Is there a pastime? I can't remember, but I thought there was. Because Krishna sometimes shows his, because they won't believe that he's actually Lord Ram or he's incarnated in all these different incarnations. So sometimes Krishna shows, you know, his form or his power, that he was that personality. But because the gopas and gopis, they just see Krishna as a cowherd boy. They don't see him as the Supreme Lord. They have so much love for him, but it's very difficult for them to understand how he can be the Supreme Lord in that sense, because they have so much, they forget that he's God because of all the love that they have for him. And Krishna likes that. But in these other incarnations, Krishna shows that divinity because demigods, they will understand that this is the Supreme Lord because they have knowledge of God. And for them, it's easier to understand the Supreme Lord in his more opulent and divine manifestations rather than a simple cowherd form. So they find that very difficult to understand. But when they see the Lord in his greatness, then it's easy for them to understand the Lord is incarnated, But when they see Krishna as a cowherd boy, it's very difficult for them to understand that this is the Supreme Lord. Yes, Paddy.
You see, there's explain a little bit about when the Lord comes in the millennium and say incarnations, how is it different colour and different pastimes? How much the pastimes are sort of repeated and how much is each one unique?
Well, they're going on all the time, so different universes. The Lord's form incarnations, they're appearing and disappearing throughout. In the day of Brahma, there's 14 Manvantaras in a one day of Brahma. So there's 14 different Manus, you see. So Swayambhu Manu, there's Chakshusha Manu, so these are just two. Now, there's no description of the other ones, but I'm quite sure the Lord could appear in any other millennium as well. The Bhagavatam's only giving you a snippet, basically the main sort of gist of things. There's so many hundreds of incarnations that are not mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So the Lord's appearing and disappearing all the time, and from one universe to another. It's continuing. The time scale is so big that it's beyond our understanding, you see. Like one day of Brahma, it's like, I had to kind of write it down because I thought I'll never remember this. It's like, so there's one day of Brahma is 1,000 ages. So, there's Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Satya Yuga. So you've got, that's one Divya Yuga. And that's, I don't know, has 4,320 something. I don't know, I can't even work it out. Anyway, so that's just one day of Brahma, and and then he has the same number of years for his night, and then he lives for 100 years. So the 100 years turns out to be 311 trillion 40 billion years. That's just one lifetime of Brahma, And so we can understand that, the time scale we're talking about is so big, and the Lord's appearing, every day of Brahma, he's appearing in so many different incarnations, So it's very kind of mind-boggling.
If we read the second canto, we see this. One is when Hiranyakashipu, first of all, meets Lord Singha, and Lord Singha bursts out the pillar. And then Lord Singha fights with Hiranyakashipu, kills him, and then fights with all the soldiers and kills them. And then another pastime, fights with all the soldiers first, and then finally fights with Hiranyakashipu. So when the Lord appears, it's not like some touring drama where the whole thing is scripted and it has to happen consecutively like this, or else he stop and start again. So the Lord is free to do whatever he likes. And it's not like a carbon copy of the pastime happens each time. Maybe different personalities involved, like Sitaram, Lakshman, Hanuman. Sometimes it's certain personalities there, sometimes it's other personalities. The same general purpose in the pastime takes place. And also, the first canto, it's mentioned that there's innumerable incarnations as there were waves on the sea, and that's even if you were to count the waves on the sea, still incarnations there.
Yeah, it's unlimited. You see, you can't, without our tiny brains, you can't really understand what's unlimited because we limit everything because of our material conditioning, we limit things. But the Lord's so unlimited that you can do anything at any time. Each incarnation is appearing, like Krishna, he from his past into one past, goes to another universe and from his past. It is continually going from one universe to another. And there's countless universes, so it's this continuing on and on and on, you know. Each incarnation is appearing in all these different universes, in different millenniums, and it's just so vast for us to actually understand or conceive or perceive what it is.
So we're not mentioning in the scripture that love appears in every species.
Yeah. So, you know, he appears in the fish, tortoise, boar, and there's so many other species of life. He appears in every species of life. So it's like it's unlimited.
We're saying also that this Bible time and the other scriptures just a snippet in comparison to this there. So I believe that the Bible time is 18,000 verses, and that the demigods Bible time is 100,000 verses. Even that is just a snippet.
Yeah, and it's like Ananta, Lord Ananta, you know, he's got millions of hoods, and he's got millions of tongues, and he's eternally glorifying the Lord's pastimes, and there's no end to it. You can't, you know, describe them all for eternity. So, you know, we've only got a little tongue, you know, we've only got a tiny little, you know, we're just so small and insignificant, and we're trying to use whatever we have to glorify the Lord. But, you know, there's other personalities who are far greater than us, and they are continually glorifying the Lord for eternity, and they can't finish glorifying the Lord's pastimes and qualities. So it's just not really possible. It's like very difficult to comprehend that, but we haven't got the capacity to be able to, you know, fully describe the Lord's glories and pastimes.
That when Krishna performs his pastimes, like lifting Govardhan Hill, it always seems like it's the first time to all his associates as well. It has that quality of always being fresh. So when Krishna sees Srimati Radharani, it's always like he's just seen it for the very first time. Everything is like, which is hard to kind of understand from the perspective. But in the spiritual, everything is just always eternally there, eternally present. It's happening in and now.
Yeah, it's, the Lord is ever fresh. So no matter how many times you hear his pastimes, no matter how many times you maybe this pastime of Lord Varahadev, you'll never get tired of it because it's ever, the Lord is ever fresh and his pastimes are ever fresh. And because by reciting these pastimes we're pleasing the Lord, then we'll feel so satisfied we want to do it over and over again. It's like it has that nature. And we can see that from these pastimes, it's like it's a universal. Basically, it's like giving the news of the universe, what's happening. You know, it's like we're on this tiny little planet, and we're caught up in our little worlds. You know, and we've got our newspapers that tell us what's happening in the world. But this Bhagavatam is telling us what's happening in the universe. You know, and there's far greater things happening. You know. It's like we're so like this planet Earth is a very, very small planet in the universe, and there's so many bigger planets and so many things that are happening that we're not even aware of. But we're just so like caught up in our little worlds in this planet.
Should they knew that he only had 7 days to speak to Maharaj Krishna as well? He says, you already know all of these pastimes, so I won't describe them in brief, because he wanted to like spend most of the time talking about Krishna's pastime. So similarly, you know, like, although the sages at Naimisharanya asked to hear about like all of the Lord's multi-incarnations, but then Sutta Goswami chose to relate all of the Bhagavatam that Shukadev had spoken. So you may think, why did he only speak about Matsya for a very short time? But he decided, I'm going to just repeat what Shukadev said. So he's not speaking it for us. You know, so for us it may seem like, you know, why is only a tiny little bit about this incarnation and a vast amount? He's speaking it for devotees who already have like some attraction to certain pastimes, and he's doing it to please the devotees. So it's like, as Prabhupada said, there are other versions of the Bhagavatam which expand far, far more. Also, that's the nature of, like in reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, also sometimes Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami says, I'm going to speak about this subject and I'm not going to speak about it at length. But then he actually does speak about it at length because he's actually attracted to it. So even the person who's writing and speaking, they're sometimes like overcome by their own ecstasy of that particular pastime. And they may speak more for that reason. They may also speak at great length of that one incarnation and then not so much about another incarnation.
Yes, so that's the reason is because Shukadev Goswami, I mean, Pariksha Maharaj only had 7 days, so there's only so much he could actually give him in that time. So not every pastime is described, not every incarnation has been described, only a few, so that we can get like the main essence. What was the end?
Prabhupada has asked, is Joan Mark in the Sri Lanka? And he said, why not? Anything that's 70s,
Yeah.
and it's limited, you can say that at times, and it's just like, with air fresh, so just as Srimati Radharani puts the same thing in Krishna. So Vrinda Devi, she never makes the same arrangement for everyone's pastimes. It's always something different.
So the Lord can change his pastime slightly, you know, for different reasons. Because it says pastime, he can decide what to do. I've heard also Lord Ram's pastime as well. Sometimes Sita gets kidnapped from Ayodhya by Ravana. They don't go to the forest. Sometimes, so it's like the slight differences, you know, from different incarnations of Lord Ram. So it's Lord's a script writer. He can decide, you know, what he wants. He's actually director of the drama, you know, so he changes things accordingly. But yeah, so all these pastimes are there for us so that we can remember them and relish them and recite them, hear about them, so we can become attached to Krishna, because that's how we develop our attachment for Krishna, is by reciting and hearing these pastimes. Yeah, so this is how we actually develop our love for Krishna, by remembering all these pastimes and glorifying them. And the more we do, the more we'll relish them, the more we want to share them with others. And it's very reciprocal, and the Lord is very pleased by that. That's the main result of hearing about this, is the Lord is very pleased. So thank you very much. We've all tried to please the Lord by hearing and reciting this narration of Varahadev. Is it anything? Okay, thank you. Is there anything else? Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Iskon Govind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.